How's it going, you guys? So in this video, I'm going to be debunking this guy GorillaZen Fitness's video where he says that you must eat a variety of vegetables and change the foods you eat every single day, or else you're just going to drop dead of a nutrient deficiency. You can basically eat the same exact food every single day as long as the foods that you do choose to eat are nutritionally adequate. And adding different variety throughout the week is not really going to add any significant benefit to your overall nutrient intake as long as those foods you do eat are nutritionally adequate.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing? It's Blake Bowman here with GorillaZen Fitness, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about nutrient diversity and why this is so important. The reason why I wanted to address this is because there are so many people out there that eat quote-unquote healthy foods every day. The problem is they're eating the same healthy foods every day, right? If you eat spinach, for example,
I don't eat spinach.
Nobody's going to be like, this is bad for you. However, you're getting a very limited spectrum of nutrients that one vegetable provides you.
I don't even eat vegetables.
Eating the same, vegetable over and over again.
Just don't eat vegetables.
Day, you're getting a very limited nutrient profile. Your body needs myriad nutrients, myriad minerals, myriad.
You get a limited variety of nutrients in vegetables in
general. The full spectrum of all of these things by eating different plants of different colors, different fruits, different berries, different, just a very diverse, source of food. It's the only way to get a full spectrum of these nutrients if you're not going to supplement with them, which is not as good as getting them from food. So for that reason, I would encourage you to eat different colored foods, right? It's the colors in the foods that actually have different phytochemicals and give it a different nutrient profile, right? So eat some purple cabbage, eat some green kale, eat some red berries, right? Try to incorporate the rainbow, as they say, into your diet every single day. And that way you're going to be getting not just a limited nutrient profile from the same vegetables, the same eggs that you're eating every day, but you're going to be spreading your nutrition across multiple different foods and getting more overall nutrition as a result of that.
Okay, so this is my chronometer information from a meal that I actually just had for lunch. Okay, so keep in mind this is one meal of mine. Okay, so for lunch today I had 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 80% lean. I had 5 large eggs cooked in butter, which should give me some extra vitamin K2, but I didn't put the butter down. I have 4 ounces of beef liver, 5 bananas, and 1 teaspoon of bone meal powder. Now, if you look at the nutrients I got just from that one meal, and keep in mind the only plant food I had in that meal was 5 bananas. Definitely going to get adequate protein from that. I believe most people, especially in the average American population, are under eating protein, which is probably why so many people are dealing with mood problems, chronic fatigue, and stress issues, and what they call like chronic fatigue syndrome or whatever. Usually it's because they're under eating protein and they're not getting enough amino acids and building blocks and cofactors for their hormones and neurotransmitters. So this one meal that I had today composed almost entirely of beef, organs, and just 5 bananas. I am getting 72% of my daily intake of vitamin B1, which the requirements for B1 typically are thought to be dependent on carbohydrate intake, where the more carbohydrate that you eat, the more B1 you need. And since, I only ate a couple bananas, so then we have obviously 100% of B2, B3, B5, 500% of B2, 300 some percent of B3, 300 whatever percent of B5, 450 of B6, 4,000 of B12, 180% of biotin, 330% of choline, 141% of folate, and over 1,000% of my daily value of vitamin A. And mind you, we're talking the active form of vitamin A. So most people, especially this guy, they're thinking that the beta-carotene that they're getting from their spinach is a good source of vitamin A. The problem is most people have genetic polymorphisms, and which prevent them from converting that beta-carotene into the active form of vitamin A. And even without a genetic polymorphism, I believe the conversion rate is something like 15%. For every IU of beta-carotene that you get, you only convert a small percentage of that to active form of vitamin A. So I'm consuming all of these nutrients in their most bioavailable form with no so-called anti-nutrients or mineral chelators, which will hinder the absorption of a lot of them. And keep in mind, fiber also can hinder the absorption of many vitamins and minerals. So yeah. Now, vitamin C obviously could be better. Vitamin D, most people use supplements, but shit, if I just threw in another 4 ounces of liver and some more eggs, I would get the vitamin D requirement as well. Vitamin E, I'm not really concerned about because vitamin E is mostly required to prevent lipid peroxidation from polyunsaturated fats. And I don't really eat much polyunsaturated fats, which is why I don't have much vitamin E, because it's typically only packaged alongside polyunsaturated fats, because that's its purpose. Vitamin K. So sure, I'm only getting 15% of vitamin K. However, the vitamin K that I am getting, again, is actually its active form, vitamin K2. So if you look, it says the sources I'm getting it from are beef liver, hamburger, and eggs. And so it's measuring the active form, vitamin K2. So a lot of people don't realize that vitamin K1 from plant foods is actually a precursor and not necessarily the active form that we actually use in the circulation. So plenty of calcium, 100% of my daily value, over 100% from the bone meal. A bit alarming amount of copper, I will admit. Pretty good amount of iodine considering there's no supplements in there. Most people don't really get iodine at all without iodized salt. An okay amount of iron, which I actually got my iron levels checked recently after years of eating so much red meat, and my iron levels within the healthy range. Magnesium's pretty good, potassium. Okay, so as you can see, without eating a wide variety of vegetables or fruits and vegetables or a wide variety of foods whatsoever, and not eating any vegetables whatsoever, I'm actually getting 100% of my daily value of damn near all vitamins and minerals, with a couple of exceptions, obviously. And with a couple of tweaks, if I really gave a shit about the government's recommended daily intake, I could easily get 100% of all my nutrients if I really cared that much. But the fact is, I don't care, and I don't think it's important to get 100% of your daily value of all vitamins and minerals, because the government recommendations on nutrient intake is a huge, wide sweeping recommendation for a wide variety of different people eating different diets. Most of them are eating junk food and refined foods and don't give a shit about the nutrient intake anyway. But most recommended intakes are just to prevent deficiencies for most people. And I'm pretty sure, so if we were to actually go by the science, we would find that we don't really need nearly as much, especially without mineral chelating anti-nutrients like phytic acid, oxalic acid, and the list goes on. So if you haven't already, you should definitely check out this book, Vitamania by Catherine Price. Vitamania goes over the history of vitamin deficiencies. And basically what you'll find by reading this book is that vitamin deficiencies didn't really even exist before the refining of foods. For example, no one ever experienced vitamin B1 deficiency, which is known as beriberi, until the invention of white refined rice. And you have to consider the fact that there's never actually been a documented case of polyphenol deficiency. Polyphenols are not an essential nutrient, and in fact, besides specific polyphenols like things found in green tea, things found in cacao, essentially polyphenols don't really have any real measurable benefits. So it is true that certain polyphenols like epicatechin gallate found in green tea can potentially increase brain-derived neurotropic factor and increase cognition and have some synergistic benefits with caffeine and things like that. Some of the polyphenols found in raw cacao or raw chocolate can boost endorphin and things of that nature, increase your mood, increase your cognition. And medicinal herbs, things like reishi, things like cordyceps, yeah, they can have a tonic effect. Absolutely, they can improve your well-being. But when we're talking about like, oh, you must eat a wide variety, you must eat the rainbow of fruits and vegetables in order to get your nutrient intake for the day, that is absolutely nonsense. I've been eating the same red meat, organs, and a little bit of fruit here and there for over 3 years now. And I started off just pure meat and fat without even eating organs, and I added organs. And I've never had a nutrient deficiency, and I haven't had an iron overdose either. I've checked my iron levels, checked my nutrient levels, and I've been feeling better than I've ever felt in my life. My sports performance has gone up. My sleep has just regulated magically. And the list goes on and on. But one thing we can say for sure is that if I was to exchange some of the foods that I'm eating for, freaking kale or something, it probably wouldn't be providing me much benefit. And in fact, I've actually found that I have extreme digestive illness as well as things like psoriasis when I start to add a lot of fibrous plant foods to my diet. Usually though, I can eat things like cooked vegetables like broccoli and carrots and cauliflower and yada yada, but I just don't see the point. Why am I going to waste a bunch of money on pounds of vegetables when all they do is cause me gas and bloating and whatnot? Generally speaking, polyphenols, they've only been shown to have some health benefits when eaten in their whole food form in long periods of time. So like cohort studies done on humans over decades find people who eat like 10 cups of cruciferous vegetables, for example. I believe it was the Nurses' Health study that found this. They have like a significant decreased risk of dying from cancer or something. Typically though, the main reason why fruits and vegetables show greater health outcomes and the people eat the most over time simply has to do with healthy user bias. People who spend money on lots of fruits and vegetables and they make an effort to eat multiple cups of vegetables a day, especially things like broccoli and spinach and cauliflower and kale. These people typically avoid polyunsaturated omega-6 fats, which are the main contributor to cancer and heart disease. They avoid refined foods, they don't smoke, they don't drink alcohol, they're usually exercise. And studies may say that they try to control for this, but they generally don't control for these very important factors that are overlooked. And so generally people are living a healthy lifestyle and they're avoiding the foods that cause disease, and they just so happen to also be eating a large amount of vegetables as well. I can guarantee you nobody who generally will allow themselves to eat bonbons and freaking snack cakes and candy and corn oil and whatnot, those people who allow themselves to eat junk food are not going to try to eat pounds of vegetables a day. And if they do, it's not going to last the decades that it takes to create one of these cohort studies. So if you don't know what healthy user bias is, you need to look it up, because if you understand healthy user bias and you consider healthy user bias in all of these studies done on plant foods and even red meat intake, it'll completely change the way that you interpret correlation versus causation, okay? Clinical trials done on polyphenols generally do not show significant benefits outside of specific foods. But things like broccoli sprouts, like Rhonda Patrick's favorite food, and broccoli itself, and some of these other ones, generally speaking, you don't see like a dire need for these foods.